Hello and welcome to the Bench Report. You're listening to Amy and Ivan. Essential listening today on your school commute.
Today we're looking at, how we can make that journey safer and maybe encourage more kids to walk or cycle.
That's right. It's based on a recent parliamentary discussion, and it's about much more than just easing traffic, isn't it?
Absolutely. It touches on children's health, their independence, even the feel of our communities.
And the core issue is this really significant drop in walking and cycling to school.
It is quite stark when you look at the numbers. Think back to the mid-1970s. It was around 67% of children walking or cycling.
Two-thirds, basically.
Pretty much.
Right.
But by 2023, that figure had fallen to just 47%.
Less than half.
And cycling specifically, it's tiny, only about 3% nationally.
Wow, that's a dramatic change over a few decades. It feels like a real loss.
It is a loss of daily exercise, a loss of that sense of independence for children, and, a greater reliance on cars.
What's surprising, though, maybe worrying, is that kids seem to want to be more active.
That's a key point. The data suggest half of children would like to cycle more.
And about a third want to walk or maybe use their scooter more often.
So there's this disconnect, isn't there, between what they want and what's actually happening.
Which leads us to the why. Why has this happened and what can be done? That's what we want to unpack today.
A major theme in the debate was, perhaps unsurprisingly, safety. The risks on our roads are real.
Tragically real. Lives lost or changed forever. That context is crucial.
It really is. So families have these very valid safety concerns. And a lot of that comes down to infrastructure, how our streets are actually set up.
You mean things like cycle lanes, safe crossings?
Exactly. In countries with high rates of walking and cycling, they actively prioritize making it safe and, frankly, pleasant to get around without a car. Dedicated spaces, slower speeds.
We did hear some positive examples being mentioned, didn't we? Like that new car-free path near Glastonbury.
Yes, linking Glastonbury and Somerton. Apparently, it's already helping students get to local schools more safely.
And even smaller things, like those zebra crossings put on side streets in Westminster. They can make a difference.
It shows that sometimes relatively simple changes can boost confidence quite a bit, make people feel safer choosing to walk or cycle.
The discussion wasn't just about cities either, was it? Rural areas have their own challenges.
Very much so. Different challenges, perhaps longer distances, faster roads sometimes, but the need for safe, ideally separate routes, is just as vital.
And what about building new places? It seems planning doesn't always factor this in from the start.
That was a definite point of concern. New schools, new housing estates, sometimes built without even basic footpaths connecting them properly.
Which seems, short-sighted. Surely a footpath is fundamental.
You'd think so. It's much easier and cheaper to design these things in from day one, rather than trying to retrofit them later.
Which can involve tricky things like land ownership and compulsory purchase orders, making it harder for councils.
Precisely. So getting the infrastructure right is foundational. But even with safe paths, children need the skills and the confidence to use them.
So that brings us to the training aspect. Beyond just the physical environment.
Yes, training was highlighted as crucial. The bikeability program came up repeatedly.
That's the cycle training in schools.
Correct. It got a lot of praise for genuinely helping kids cycle more safely and building their confidence.
And there was a specific statistic on its impact.
There was. Before bikeability training, about 5% of kids said they intended to cycle to school.
Okay.
After the training. That jumped to 24%.
That's a huge increase. Really shows the power of just teaching the skills and building that confidence.
It really does. It raises the question, as was discussed, about making it more universally available. Maybe like swimming lessons are in the curriculum.
That's an interesting thought. But that requires consistent funding, reliable support for the providers.
Absolutely. Consistent funding came up as vital for planning and ensuring enough instructors are available.
So we've got infrastructure, we've got training. What about policy hurdles, things blocking progress?
Pavement parking was a big one. Seen as creating real hazards, especially for children, pushchair users, people with disabilities.
Making footpaths unusable or dangerous.
Exactly. And there seems to be quite a lot of public support for tackling it.
But councils outside London and Scotland have limited powers to enforce restrictions currently.
That's right. There were calls to make it easier for local authorities everywhere to bring in restrictions where needed.
We also heard about the positive impact of things like 20-mile-per-hour limits near schools.
Yes, and school streets initiatives. where roads right outside schools are closed to traffic at drop-off and pickup times.
The example from Ealing sounded quite successful.
It did. They saw a reported 29% increase in active travel and a noticeable drop in car use around those schools.
It shows how relatively focused policy changes can shift behavior and improve the environment right where it's needed most.
And all this feeds into the bigger picture, the upcoming National Road Safety Strategy, an opportunity perhaps to tie these different threads together.
It definitely feels like there's momentum. Lots of ideas on the table, from big infrastructure projects down to local tweaks.
And the benefits go way beyond just the school run, don't they?
Absolutely. We're talking public health improvements, cleaner air, kids getting that bit of daily exercise, more vibrant local areas.
It's all interconnected. Investing in making it safe and easy for kids to walk or cycle really is an investment in healthier, more sustainable communities.
So, summarizing, we've seen the need for safer infrastructure, like maybe that potential cycle path near Totnes, or just better design in new builds.
And the proven value of training like bikeability, significantly boosting kids' intention to cycle.
Plus, the impact of policies like school streets, as seen in Ealing, cutting car use and boosting active travel.
It paints a picture of what's possible.
It does, which maybe leads to a final thought for you listening. Considering all these benefits for health, the environment, community, feel, what's one small change that could make a really big difference to how the school commute looks and feels in your own local area? We hope you enjoyed today's show. As always, find us on social media at Bench Report UK. Take care.
Hello there, this is Tom, the producer of The Bench Report. Listener suggestions are vital to my mission of making politics more accessible and accountable. So, if you have an issue that's really important to you, personally or professionally, and want to know what those in power are doing about it, please get in touch via email or via our socials at Bench Report UK. I'll grab another coffee and start scanning those parliamentary archives.